Okay, let's dive into this. The time is exactly 2:17 a.m. It's the very first week of night duty for a 27-year-old resident named Dr. Arav Mehta. Right beside him is Dr. Neha, a 25-year-old intern. They are completely exhausted, running on empty after an absolutely brutal 18-hour shift. And then, the silence is completely shattered. A frantic grandmother rushes into the ward, literally screaming for help, clutching a 4-day-old infant. But here's the thing. This baby is entirely motionless. He isn't breathing, he isn't crying, his tiny body is terrifyingly stiff, almost like it's carved from wood, and his skin, it's turned this horrifying shade of blue-black. The grandmother, who is just blinded by panic and tears, is absolutely convinced this isn't a medical issue at all. She's crying out that today is Amavasya, the new moon night, and that a demonic shadow has gripped her grandson. Now, to really grasp the sheer terror gripping Dr. Neha in this moment, we have to talk about the legend of the third floor. See, the staff calls the window between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. the Devil's Hour. According to these grim local rumors, any patient admitted to the ICU during this specific hour, they never survive to see the morning sun. And the atmosphere in the room actually physically changes. The scent of fennel and medicine becomes incredibly heavy, almost suffocating. The power suddenly cuts out, leaving only this eerie red glow from the emergency lights casting these long, twisted shadows. Out in the corridor, the old elevator begins screeching. This piercing metallic grind, it sounds like it's dragging something up from the depths. And standing quietly in the shadows is a ward nurse in a light blue sari, just calmly mopping the floor as if waiting for the inevitable. But Dr. Arav, he's a man of science. He physically shakes off that cold dread settling in the room and just leaps into action. He throws the rigid infant onto the stretcher, attaches the monitors, and demands they crank up the oxygen immediately. The mask goes on, the flow is maxed out, but the screen completely refuses to cooperate. I mean, look at that number, 63%. For a newborn baby, an oxygen saturation level that low is absolutely catastrophic. The monitor just beeps mercilessly at them. 63, 63, 63. Arav starts chest compressions, desperately urging this baby to breathe, but the kid is completely unresponsive. Dr. Neha is trembling now, her mind just racing with the grandmother's warnings about the Devil's Hour. The room turns icy cold, even though the air conditioning is totally shut off. Realizing they need answers, like instantly, Dr. Arav goes to draw a blood sample. And guys, this is where the story pivots from tense into downright horrific. Because as he pulls back the plunger on that syringe, the liquid filling the tube isn't red. It's pitch black. Neha is so startled she actually drops the test tube. When it shatters on the floor, the black fluid doesn't even spread like normal blood. It's thick, heavy, and sticky, literally exactly like chocolate syrup. It just pools there, congealing incredibly fast on the floor like some living, unnatural entity, and it fills the room with this sickening metallic stench of rot. Neha backs away, totally convinced the grandmother was right all along. She's thinking, this isn't human blood. This is a demonic possession. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how staring at that black blood triggers a memory in Dr. Arav's mind, a flashback to an old medical college lecture. He remembers a professor pointing to a whiteboard that simply read chocolate-colored blood. In a split second, the realization hits him. This is no demon. This is methemoglobinemia. It's this super rare, deadly condition where the blood actually still contains oxygen, but the molecular structure of the hemoglobin has been altered so drastically that it absolutely cannot release that oxygen to the body's tissues. So the baby is essentially suffocating on a cellular level, even though his lungs are being pumped full of air. So the crucial question now is figuring out what on earth caused this rapid chemical change. Arav turns to the grandmother and demands to know exactly what she gave the child. Trembling, she admits that to ward off the evil spirits of Animasia, she fed the baby water from a local well mixed with some holy ash from a spiritual guru. And boom, there's your missing puzzle piece. Arav knows that rural well water can be heavily contaminated with agricultural nitrates. When a tiny infant ingests massive amounts of nitrates, their fragile bodies convert it, binding the oxygen in their blood and turning it thick and black. In a matter of seconds, Dr. Arav has completely flipped the narrative. The enemy isn't a ghost. It's straight-up nitrate poisoning. But look, knowing the poison is only half the battle, right? You still need the antidote. The cure for this condition is a very specific chemical called methylene blue. So Neha sprints down to the storeroom, only to find a heavy padlock on the door and a ward boy sitting right in front of it. The ward boy flat out refuses to open it. He says it's strictly against hospital rules to open the pharmacy storeroom before morning. Neha is screaming that the baby will be dead by morning, and then, out of the darkness, That quiet night nurse in the blue sari, Sister Kamla, speaks up. Her voice is flat, icy cold, and carries this chilling certainty. She says, "Death cannot be stopped, doctor." But Dr. Arov? He completely refuses to accept that. He sprints into the corridor, spots a heavy fire extinguisher mounted on the wall, rips it down, and violently smashes that padlock to pieces. He's tearing through these dusty, disorganized shelves in the pitch-black storeroom until his hands finally close around a small vial of methylene blue. But as he pulls it into the light, his heart just drops. The medication expired exactly 15 days ago. Neha is warning him of the massive risk, but Arov knows the alternative is certain death. He hands her the syringe. He tells her to push the expired drug directly into the infant's veins. What follows is arguably one of the most agonizing medical countdowns you could ever imagine. As the drug enters the baby's system, the monitor's numbers actually start dropping even further. 40, 38, 35. The beeps stretch out, slowing down to a near flatline. The room falls into this absolute dead silence, except for the rain pounding against the glass. And then, a flicker. The monitor jumps to 40, then 45, then 50, 60, 70. In a matter of seconds, the chemical reaction reverses itself, and the oxygen saturation spikes to 95%. The steady, rhythmic beep of a healthy heartbeat fills the room, followed immediately by the loud, robust cry of a newborn baby. The color rushes right back into the infant's cheeks. They did it. They literally pulled him back from the brink. Fast forward a bit. It's now 5 a.m. The rain has stopped. That pale morning sunlight is finally filtering through the broken windows of Ward No. 9. Dr. Neha, who is exhausted but so incredibly relieved, turns to the ward boy. She asks where Nurse Kamla went, wanting to thank her for her help during the chaotic night. The ward boy looks at her in utter confusion. Which Kamla? He asks. Neha insists, describing the night nurse in the blue sari who is standing right by the door. The color completely drains from the ward boy's face. In a trembling voice, he drops a bombshell that absolutely freezes the blood in Neha's veins. He tells her there is no night nurse named Kamla. Sister Kamla died right there, in that exact ICU, 2 years ago. And this brilliantly illustrates the true, tragic origin of the Devil's Hour. The hospital records take us back exactly 2 years to an identical stormy night. A baby was brought in with the exact same nitrate poisoning. Sister Kamla was on duty with a senior physician named Dr. Raghav Malhotra. Now, Dr. Raghav was brilliant for sure, but deeply arrogant and strictly bound by hospital rules. When Kamla begged him to open the locked storeroom to get the medicine, Dr. Raghav refused. He coldly stated that breaking rules cost jobs and they must wait until morning. At 3:11 a.m., the baby's heartbeat plummeted. At 3:12 a.m., the monitor flatlined. The baby died. In that exact same moment, the sheer grief and shock caused Nurse Kamla to suffer a massive heart attack, dying right there on the floor. And the tragedy wasn't even over. Driving home in the storm that very night, the arrogant Dr. Raghav lost control of his car. The dashboard clock in his crushed vehicle stopped at exactly 3:27 a.m. 3 deaths in one single night, all born from a refusal to break protocol. Since that night 2 years ago, Ward No. 9 was considered cursed. Every night between 2 and 3 a.m., the trauma of that moment repeated itself, claiming patient after patient. But on this night, Dr. Arov did something Dr. Raghav completely refused to do. He picked up a fire extinguisher, shattered the locked door, and risked his entire career to save a life. And in doing so, he broke the cycle. After this night, the Devil's Hour in Ward No. 9 simply ceased to exist. Patients stopped dying inexplicably. It leaves us with a really profound realization, doesn't it? Can hospital rules ever be greater than humanity? Dr. Arov proved that sometimes the only way to defeat the ghosts of our past is to have the courage to break the rules in the present.